Todd and Julie Chrisley are appealing their tax fraud convictions after more than a year in prison. Todd and Julie Chrisley, reality stars, were convicted of bank and tax fraud in November 2022. Todd and Julie Chrisley's attorney argued on their side during a hearing at the Federal Appeals Court in Atlanta on Friday. The Chrisley Knows Best actors were sentenced to a total of 19 years in prison in November 2022 after a jury found them guilty of conspiring to cheat community banks out of more than $30 million in bogus loans, as well as conspiring to defraud the IRS. Todd and Julie's lawyer, Alex Little, said that misconduct occurred in the case and that prosecutors worked in concert with the witness, according to Rumor Time. First, the issue that was discussed that came out in the redirect and then the recross of Officer Betty Carter was whether the Chrisleys had paid taxes in the post-conspiracy period. Little said the court. Now, the district court below confirmed that could have a prejudicial effect on the defendants, leading the jury to believe that they had not paid their taxes, that they were uninterested in paying taxes, and that they were the type of person who could commit fraud as charged in the other acts. That effect extends not only to the tax charges, but to all of the fraud accusations in this instance. Todd and Julie were not present during the hearing at the Albert P. Tuttle U.S. Court of Appeals building in Atlanta. During the Chrisley trial 2 years ago, prosecutors claimed that the Chrisleys had submitted fraudulent documents to banks when requesting for loans. They also claimed that Julie submitted a bogus credit report and fake bank statements when applying to rent a house in California. Little said that his clients had paid everything before trial for taxes owed, and that the government doesn't argue that they hadn't paid. Annalise Peters, a spokesperson from the United States Attorney's Office, reported that the evidence was overwhelming at trial that the Chrisleys had conspired to evade the IRS. So, whenever credible charges and proof are presented about any type of government misconduct, a hearing should be held. That is not what we have in this case, she stated. When it came to Chrisley's former accountant, Peter Tarantino, who was sentenced to 3 years in jail for deliberately submitting fraudulent tax forms, Peters claimed that Little had not demonstrated any actual compelling prejudice that results from this. Don Samuel, Tarantino's attorney, argued that his client was not complicit in the crime committed by the Chrisleys, and that Tarantino didn't have a duty to ensure that all taxes were paid. After the hearing, Savannah, Todd and Julie's daughter, talked to reporters outside the courthouse, saying she spoke with her parents the night before and that they are doing as best they can. We have all come together, and we are closer than ever, she stated, according to the Associated Press. Todd was originally sentenced to 12 years in prison, but he received a 2-year reduction. Julie received a 7-year prison sentence after being indicted in August 2019 on bank fraud and tax evasion charges. Her sentence was reduced to 14 months in September 2023. After their prison sentences are completed, they will each be required to serve 16 months of probation. Julie Chrisley was convicted of conspiracy to commit bank fraud, tax fraud, and defrauding the United States. She also faced wire fraud and obstruction of justice accusations. She went to the satellite minimum security camp at the BOP facility in Lexington, a source told Fox News Digital. Todd Chrisley was found guilty of conspiracy to conduct bank fraud, tax fraud, and conspiracy to defraud the U.S. He checked into federal prison camp Pensacola, a minimum security institution. The Chrisleys did receive a tiny legal success in 2019 when the Georgia Department of Revenue exonerated them of a $2 million state tax evasion accusation coming from a 2-year probe of nearly 8 years of returns beginning in 2008. The Department of Revenue abandoned its claim that the couple owed more than $2.1 million in unpaid state taxes, fines, and interest, bringing the total outstanding obligation to less than $110,000.